And now, it's Boomer Life, lifestyle discussion designed to make your life more engaging, meaningful, and complete. Celebrating the baby boomer generation, this is Boomer Life on CIL 650.
I love your music.
Yeah, love the music. There's a doctor in the house, can you tell? It's Boomer Life here on CIL 650. Hello and welcome to the program. Sterling Fox with you, joined in studio by Dr. Paul Zickler from YesWellness.com. Hello, Dr. Paul. Good to see you again.
Good to see you as well, Sterling.
You've had a wonderful vacation since you last saw you and I last saw each other, and we're going to include some travel items on the program today.
Absolutely.
As we talk about cold season. Here we are. It's that time of year again, colds and flu. But first and foremost, remind our listeners who I'm talking to. You're a former emergency room physician at Royal Columbian Hospital in New Westminster. You pioneered a lot of techniques that are now taught in medical schools. Back in your day, they didn't teach emergency techniques in medical school. There was no such thing.
Yeah, for sure. It's probably those techniques are long past now, and new ones are in place. But certainly at that time, it was the initial evolution of emergency medicine.
Right. And so after a long and storied career at Royal Columbian, you branched out with some of your colleagues with similar backgrounds into, well, internet and community-based wellness centers in Langley, South Surrey area.
Yeah, first it was the community clinics, and then after about another 12 years of that, I finally got into just being involved in the internet business, both on the prescription side and on now primarily with Yes Wellness in terms of the nutraceutical supplements and the wellness aspect of medicine, which I think is really the answer to being better. Being well is the answer to the future of medicine. It's not treating symptoms that we're so good at, making sure that that's what our patients are doing. We want to make patients better as opposed to just treating their symptoms.
Sure. And now you've been involved with medicine and the internet for a lot longer than most of your peer group. So here we are now in late 2015. You're the grand fromage at YesWellness.com. And are you finding that more and more consumers of healthcare are spending more and more time on the internet educating themselves in order to be even better consumers?
Absolutely. And I think that when a patient comes in and has a set of symptoms and they come in and with their little page that they've Googled in terms of what they think they've got.
Yes.
I think a lot of physicians, look at that and say, "Oh my God, this is
another self-diagnosing
that's exactly
genius."
Right. Whereas, I'm more of a proponent. Well, okay, he is interested.
Yes.
He is looking at solutions for what he think he may have, and I think it's to use that information, and it's to use his curiosity to empower him to make decisions about which direction he's going, and use that and provide some good sources of places to go on the internet. So and give him a little indication of what sources to avoid and what sources are good.
And one of the things that we're going to do as we progress through this hour with Dr. Zickler is recommend many times to you. You'll hear us say this. For more information, and there's plenty of it, just go to YesWellness.com or YesWellness.com/BoomerLife. And of course, Dr. Zickler, you blog a lot on Yes Wellness. You've been writing on the internet for many, many years. So this whole matter of flu and cold, it's a seasonal thing, but you've been on this subject for a long time.
Oh, absolutely. It occurred to me one day as I was repeating myself, 20 times a day in the flu season of what I want my patients to do, that I should really put it all together.
Right.
And say, and stress a few points that I hope that they would remember, and give them a sheet of things that they can go back and review and to have as a reference. And I even did better than that, is I did that with our employees as well. And a few years back, when all the swine flu thing
Oh,
was,
right, the bird flu and
yeah,
all of that.
all
Absolutely.
that stuff.
Yeah, sure.
I put together a sheet of instructions, and then I actually gave that to everybody, and then also discussed it with them, and then made all the elements of my plan available to them at work. And I really wanted to see if we had an impact.
So they became your test group, like it or not.
They became my test group, and they were bombarded with it. I bombarded them with it, and we did have a significant reduction in the number of sick days, and in terms of and how they managed their sicknesses during the time that they were working. And also how they manage the sickness in their families.
Okay.
And so it really showed me that it'll work. The thing is, you have to get people to do it, and that's the problem. And I think, one of the things we keep stressing is empowering people to take care of their health.
Right.
And I think the more people that really take that to heart, that they'll know that they have a responsibility to do that for themselves.
And these are the people that we're just talking about, who are on the internet, actively, proactively looking out for themselves.
And you want to use that. And you want to use it as a motivation. And to get those people motivated to do what they think is the right thing to do. And if the decision comes from them, they're more likely to do it.
I have to ask you this, because now that we're really into the cold and flu season, there are some people, and we do come across these individuals in our lives every now and then. There were some people who say, well, I'll be honest with you, I haven't had a cold or the flu in 10 years. I don't take anything, I just don't get it. So that's that person who's bragging shamelessly right in your face, probably has some kind of super-duper immune system. Is there something that we can do on a daily basis to enhance our immune systems, not to necessarily get to super-duper status, but to sort of reduce the risks of cold and flu?
Oh, absolutely. We can do that. And first of all, we have to review all the steps of common sense steps,
Okay.
which we often forget, and sort of, washing our hands regularly, especially if you're working in an office where there is many employees, and you're using a keyboard, you're using a telephone, you're using an iPad, and the people are close in proximity. Washing your hands and reducing the amount of times you're touching your nose and your mouth with your hands and not washing your hands.
Okay.
So use a tissue when you cough and sneeze in your elbow.
And more companies and offices, you're seeing hand sanitizers and those sorts of things. Companies are getting on side with this, aren't they?
And also wipes to
Yeah.
clean off your keyboard and your telephone. Because if you're sharing a desk, it's mandatory to do that. Clean off the surface of your desk wherever you're touching with your hands.
Right.
And use the hand cleanser.
And by the way, full marks to our producer, Dwayne Bishop, because before Dr. Paul and I came into the studio, we actually walked in, and he was scrubbing this place down. It must have reminded you, well, I was going to say like of an ER, hardly, but a pretty darn clean radio studio, you must say.
Absolutely. I was very impressed.
So again, keep the workplace common sense clean.
Yes. And that's really important. And then sort of the things you for yourself are the things that we've stressed for the last several months. Eating healthily, eating for wellness. 80% of what we do for our body is through our diet.
This is the legendary 80-20 rule
Exactly.
that Dr. Zickler is very high on and
Right.
Reinforces every visit with us. So please walk us through 80-20 again.
Well, it's, to be well, we can break it down, and when we think of wellness, we think of diet or nutrition and exercise.
Right.
Well, if you look at them, they're not equal. The most important part is using food as your medicine. And if you think of food as medicine, you quickly realize, okay, the potato chips deep fried and the French fries and the things that are full of sugar, they don't translate into being good food. So
Right.
And that's as medicine. They may taste good, but they may not be. They're definitely not medicine. So 80% is that, and then 20% is exercise.
Okay.
And it's equally important, but not in the same degree. So the next thing is in terms of fortifying your immune system. So the things that I suggest, that we've suggested in the past that you take as a maintenance dose is vitamin C,
Okay.
vitamin D, fish oils.
And this is on a daily basis,
On
right?
a daily basis.
Okay, this is the standard maintenance stuff. This is not treating any kind of symptoms. This is what every one of us
every day.
should be taking every day.
Every day.
Okay, so please start again and remind us.
So vitamin C,
C,
vitamin D,
D,
your
fish oils?
fish oils, fish oils, and those are the three essential items.
Okay.
And
Are those omegas? Is that a fish oil? Those
yeah,
omegas?
yeah, omega
Okay.
3s,
Okay.
3 and 6s, and so fish oils. You can also use vegetable oils, vegetable sources for those free fatty acids, but they're harder to digest, and they don't translate into the same amount of the effect of free fatty acids.
All right.
So if you're so inclined to use the vegetable-based ones, you can, but you're going to have to take a little bit more and realize that you're maybe not getting the same effectiveness. So those are the things we do on a regular basis. Now,
can you talk to us before we move on? Can you give us a recommended or typical quantity of each of those in terms of milligrams or whatever the measurement is?
So the vitamin C is 1,000 milligrams.
Okay.
That's the maintenance dose.
Gotcha.
And vitamin D, it depends on if you're white or colored, so browns and darker. So whites generally need 3 to 6,000 international units, whereas darker people may need up to 8 to 10,000.
So there is a pigmentation issue.
There's
here.
a pigmentation.
Interesting.
They metabolize it differently, so they need more.
Interesting.
Yeah. So that's something that's becoming more and more evident, and most people don't realize.
So 3,000 to 6,000 international units per day.
Yeah, right.
All right. And the omegas or fish oils, what quantity there, Dr. Paul?
Well, it depends on the product you use. And if you go to our site, it depends on some are they're in a compound that you need lesser dosages.
Oh, okay.
But it's the dosage that's on every bottle would be appropriate for what to take. But depending on the kind of preparation you're taking. So we're not going to go in terms of milligrams. The other thing is that those dosages are for maintenance.
Right.
Now,
this is what we should all be taking every day,
Exactly.
regardless of what day of the week it is or what time of the year it is.
That's right. But there is a therapeutic dosage. And by therapeutic I mean is when we think we're getting a cold, we're going to treat that.
Okay. Now, I have to ask you, just before we move to that stage, and we're going to do that after the break, when we suppose, we're listening to this very nice doctor on the radio, and he is recommending 1,000 milligrams of vitamin C and vitamin D and omega fatty acids or fish oils every day. So that makes sense. So maybe we should start some kind of supplement program. Get our lives a little more on track here.
Yeah.
But we're also taking medications for a chronic condition, maybe diabetes or blood thinners or something like that. So before we begin a program of supplements on a daily maintenance basis, Dr. Paul, and if we're already on some daily medication routine, should we see our doctor to discuss the integration of the two, or is it pretty much okay to go ahead?
Pretty well. The products I've just listed there are pretty confidently being given with most medications.
Okay.
But it's always wise to let the doctor know what supplements and what herbal products and any other alternative products that you're taking, and make him aware of it, as soon as you're going to be seeing them, as you're taking the product, or even discuss it beforehand.
Okay.
But any of these products I've just listed for you, I don't think there should be any problem.
Okay. Now, we'll take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to move to that all-important, you feel a cold coming on. And in the past, we've had everybody from Don Cherry to the local pharmacist to anybody, and your mother-in-law probably has a remedy as well. Well, so does Dr. Paul Zickler from YesWellness.com, and we'll find out his version right after this quick timeout.
celebrating the baby boomer lifestyle. This is Boomer Life on CL6.